morning.
morning.
It's Friday. Friday in February. It's the 23rd. Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
I forgot to tell you this
Yes,
morning.
you did.
Okay. Happy anniversary. 27 years?
Mm-hmm.
20. What would your mom say? What would your mom say?
No. 27 years.
27 years. She would always say that when it was on the calendar and such.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, today we're talking about presence, and I'm very excited about this because there's so much to be said about this message. And we just stayed at a brand new hotel that was only, I think their grand opening was 5 days before we stayed there. And it is so true that even when everything is brand new, what can be lacking is the presence in a business. So we're gonna talk more about that when we give you examples, but presence is the key to really creating energy in a business. It's not about how the facility looks. That is the extras. That is the icing on the cake, but it really is about the presence of the people. So I'm excited about this topic. What do you think?
I think it's a great topic. I think presence has everything to do with what you and your brand kind of makes happen in the mind of your guest every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And presence is something that I think that we all need to be aware of, is the message, the us that we put out there, the us that our business puts out there. It has to do with energy, but it also has to do with aesthetics. It has to do with confidence and self-esteem. It just covers so much of things that we've believed in forever. And you've been talking about a lot lately, probably since
About
we've been
6 months.
yeah, since we've been exposed to Amy Cuddy's book and her TED Talk, which was excellent.
Mm-hmm. Loved it. Okay, so let's get going. So when you think about presence, it's really the energy that you can bring or not bring to a room, right? And your energy introduces you even before you speak. So when you walk in the door, even if you're silent, you've got this energy about you. You have this confidence or lack of confidence about you. And so when you walk in, people either are going to pay attention to the energy you bring in, or it won't even matter to them. But it introduces you even before you speak. And you know, I think we've talked about this a lot, even when I'm at the schools. If I'm speaking there's times I come off stage and I'll say to him, "Oh my gosh, why did we take that young lady's money and allow her to enroll? Because I'm worried that she's not going to have enough presence or energy or confidence to be able to entertain her guests." I mean, it doesn't matter how great you are with your hands. Yes, it's a technical skill that has to be developed and nurtured. But really, it's about the presence that you bring to the guest that's in your chair. And we hope we save them, or we hope they understand that, right? When they're with us.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Yesterday, we had a event at both of our schools. Really, it was a nationwide event. And it was about, we had about 179 guests during our day school and night school event.
Mm.
And we had people.
That pushes you, right?
Oh, yeah. And you know, it creates its own energy. It creates a presence of its own.
That's Mother's Day in the restaurant industry.
And
right?
it was so interesting because we're in a regional mall, and watching people walk by, they couldn't help but notice.
Yeah, there was a buzz.
There was an energy that exuded the four walls that we were
went
in.
out into the mall.
And it did, and it
Yeah.
brought people in
I bet.
that wouldn't normally have come in. It created conversations that wouldn't normally have happened. It created better presence out of many people than they show on a daily basis.
Well, there's something about traffic.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about momentum. I mean, I checked in with you once. All I wrote was, "How you holding up?" And would you write back, killing it in the dispensary, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
it was fun, and you know what? That's the thing. I think when you create that energy, it's a lot easier.
oh
Oh my gosh, the day
Well,
flies.
You know,
Everybody's having fun.
so even in the Olympics and watching the speed skating, they ride on the energy of the people in front of them, do they not?
Hmm.
And they're going to, on those last couple turns, they're going to say, look, my legs are giving out. I got to ride some of this, so I've got a last kick at the end. That's exactly what energy does in a business. When you're bringing that up and you're moving fast and you're riding on the tails of your teammates, there's something really special about it. And if someone hates it, that's a true tale in itself.
Well, yeah, even more than that. If you can be a dullard
During
in
that,
a high energy environment, then you really probably should look inward and say, what am I doing? Am I in the right field? There's plenty of fields that don't require a lot of energy, but ours really does. So your energy introduces you even before you speak.
so your business's energy. And we're not talking just about an individual here. We're talking about the business introduces, the energy of the business introduces itself even before the first person says hello. What kind of energy?
You know what I think the most interesting comment, and I hadn't thought about it until right now, is my director came to me during the day and said, I've been keeping an eye on the public restrooms in our school. And they look better today than they look on a normal day. And we had, multiples of traffic. And I thought, how interesting, because the only way that would happen is if many people took ownership in it, every step of the way. Every time one of our future professionals or our team used the restroom, they must have been servicing the countertops and the trash and all of those things that generally make a mess.
There's a pride about it.
And so, yeah. So it was really a cool event, but it was an event that was all about presence and energy.
Well, and then what's today going to be like?
Oh, I know.
Right?
You just wonder.
You wonder if they're all leaning against the wall today. So try this on. So I give this example because this is what I've really been talking about probably the last 6 or 8 months. A fellow school owner and I, Laura Landino, out of Connecticut, we were having dinner at a restaurant. Paul Mitchell was hosting a event in St. Louis. So I went down and Laura and I decided to sneak away and have dinner on our own because there wasn't an organized dinner that night. And we decided to have dinner right on the property of this hotel, beautiful hotel. The restaurant they had sublet out, so the hotel didn't own the restaurant. They allowed another third party to come in and manage the restaurant property for them. So we were dining in, beautiful. The facility itself, they had just put in how much money to brand the restaurant to their liking, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So while we were sitting there, the conversation started about Laura's clinic floor classroom in her school. And she said, there's just no energy out there. It's just flat. And I don't know what to do about it. And I said, okay, well, let's use the example we have in front of us right now. Take a look at the restaurant we're in right now, which is primarily new. We don't know their training program. We don't know their disciplines, their service standards, but what do you see right now? And so I first asked her to look at all the tables in the restaurant. And in the restaurant, it was obvious that plates were dirty and needed to be removed from the table. Drinks were low. They needed to be refilled or offer to be refilled. Bread baskets were empty. People were ready to place their orders. There was obvious work to be done. That's my point on this. There was something that could be done by many. And I said, where's the staff? And we looked over, and in the corner, 5 or 6 service providers were standing together, primarily the wait staff. And I think even the hostess was present. And one of the servers had a small cocktail tray and was spinning it like a basketball on his finger. And I said, all that needs to be done. And where are they? They have no presence. They have no presence to the restaurant itself. They're not saying, we've got this. You're in good hands with us. And that's what's hard. So I said, I'm going to excuse myself and use the powder room. And when I come back, I'm going to walk this restaurant And by the time I'm done, people are going to think I work here. I'm going to have more presence in 3 minutes than this staff who is employed to take care of these guests has right now. And she said, oh, please don't. She thought I was going to embarrass her. And I said, no, it'll be just a second. And I'll do it all in silence for the most part. So I walked out and I came back in. And I walked and I made eye contact with every guest in the restaurant. I wasn't on top of their table, but I was close enough to know that I'm offering service. If you need it, call on me. And it was obvious I was there. And I walked through. If someone made contact with me and just nodded, I knew they were okay. Or they would even say, oh, this is so good. Or they would say, oh, this shrimp. I'll say, excellent choice. And I walked the whole dining room. I even went back on the line where the back of the house was working, and they were prepping and doing line work, and they're looking at me like, who is this? And I said, what's our special today, guys? What are we working on? And I came back to the table, and she said, everyone thinks you work here now. I said, yes, presence, being presence to your guest, and I'm hoping you saw that yesterday. When you're present out there and just looking and checking in on your guest experience, your guest satisfaction, are they enjoying the process? It doesn't have to be done verbally. It can even be done in silence. That's the beauty of it. But you have confidence and you walk so they know she must be in charge. She must be the one here that we can go to. So what I want you to think about is, what did the guests see when I was doing that? What did the staff see? And what were they thinking? Must be from the corporate office. Must be someone here that's secret shopping. What did they learn from it? I didn't see any difference in behavior at all when I was doing what they should have been doing. And then the question is, how could they leave room like that for another business to do it better and be upset about it on the other side? You know, when someone says, we've got to bring our energy up, or our lack of presence is so obvious right now. Now what? Well, immediate response is needed. And there's times when I'll say to a salon owner, how often are you walking your business? How often is a director of the school walking the business, introducing themselves, just checking in and seeing how things are going? That's what's key. Sometimes I'll walk out to the warehouse. They don't expect me to start working in the warehouse, but I'm going out there to feel their energy, to feel, how is it going? Is there a stress level? Is there an urgency? Should I bring more resources in? You're just walking it to feel what's going on here. And if you don't like it, immediate response is needed. If it feels great, you nod with internal approval, right? But it's so obvious when it's not, and it's so obvious what it is. We were at the next slide is talking about presence is really care factors. So let's go into examples at this hotel. So we were at a brand new hotel, like I said, and I don't want to say the name because that's not necessary. And we stopped into the lounge for lunch, and then we stopped into the lounge after the dinner event and had a quick snack before bed. So we had a bartender who was also a server in this 3 or 4 o'clock hour in the afternoon, and a beautiful girl. I have to tell you, she was absolutely beautiful. And makeup done, hair done, uniform was crisp, beautiful young lady. Nails done, she was very well manicured and put together. She couldn't have been more boring if she tried. I said to him, she has no presence whatsoever. She says the right words, but no one taught her how to say the words with a care factor, or say the words and mean them. You guys need anything, right? I mean, it was so boring. At one point I said, what's the difference between this burger and this burger? Because basically they're just burgers. You remember that?
I don't.
You know? So I said, okay, well then we'll take this burger. Okay. And how do you want it done? I mean, it just flatlined the whole time. Pretty girl, beautiful brand new facility. My goodness, anyone with presence would have been a shining star in that environment. Yet even in a brand new place, and she looks great, She ruined it. Her service, her care factor was awful. Okay, go forward. So we walk in. We had dinner around 7, and it was probably 11. I don't know why I was hungry, but I was hungry. So I said, before we go upstairs, let's get something. So I walked in, and the young man, the other bartender, there were 2 bartenders working back there. The bar was pretty crowded, and we decided to watch the Olympics and have a snack. The bartender, I said, what's your soup today? And he said, cream of carrot. And I must have done just that, cream of carrot soup. He said, yeah, would you like a sample? Do you want to taste it? And I looked over at the other bartender. She said, oh, it's so good. So he said, let me get you a sample of it. He ran back. Now, I'm telling you, the other bartender would have said, basically, it's cream of carrot. Carrot. This one said, let me get you a sample. He came back out, a lined plate with linen, a small taster spoon, what you usually receive drawn butter in. That's what the soup was served in. And he presented it as if I had already ordered it. And I tasted, I said, magnificent, I have to have it. He said, I thought you'd love it. And then I think I had a half a wedge served perfectly. And he said, excellent choice. The wedges are great here. And then I think you might have had a burger again. Mm-hmm. And he was great. And there was times he took care of us. The beverages were always full. He was always walking. He was communicating with his teammate. It was obvious he was in control and a little sloppy in his moves, meaning he wasn't smooth. I mean, he was kind of choppy, but his personality made up for it tenfold. Do you remember any of this? And we enjoyed him a great deal. He looked at me a couple times and just kind of just checked, didn't say, how are you? Just looked at me and asked the question with his face. I nodded back and he went on. You can serve in silence. It's not always verbal. It's your actions and your energy and your willingness to lean into a guest. So it's something that isn't absolutely normal or natural with most people. It has to be taught. Shy people would not understand this completely. You'd have to bring that out in them. And it's not easy to teach it.
Well, and it goes back to a topic that we've talked about before. And part of care factor, which feeds to presence, is also the ability to have a servant's heart. Mm-hmm. You've got to want to serve. And when you want to serve, everything about you is different. Your scan factor, what you see in the business and what you teach your people to see, and how you teach them to respond to a glance or a shrug or a guest that wants something.
Even a wink.
Yeah, making eye contact through mirrors, whatever it takes in our business, that's so very important. And knowing when a nod or when touching someone on the shoulder as you walk by can make a big difference. Mm-hmm. When a comment makes a difference, can send somebody sailing and make their day. But there has to be this strong desire to serve and to want to improve.
Well, I want to capitalize on something that you say often, and it's success leaves clues, mm-hmm. right? But so does lack of presence.
Sure.
It leaves clues. If you're paying attention to it, you can feel it. But you have to continuously. I went into the spa at this place, and I walked in. I said, it's so deafening quiet in here. She goes, oh, we forgot to turn the music up. And I thought, who missed that? Who missed? And maybe she is one that I love when it's quiet. I can get more work done. It's not about her. It's about the atmosphere. And once again, brand new facility, forgot to turn the music on. Now, there were things that this hotel hit right on the mark. Their scent created an energy. Mm-hmm. I walked in and loved it. And I immediately had to say, what are you pumping into the air? I mean, this is beautiful. And I got the message, and I'm doing some investigating on it right now. But I walked in, there were things that they wanted the hotel to be experienced in a different way. When you check in, there's also a ping pong table right next to you. There's bikes there that they have right in the lobby, beautifully displayed, but they want you to ride those. They had hot tamales as their, in a big red, what do you call those jars? Those big, huge ones.
Like a big flour jar, cookie jar.
Yes,
Oh, you mean the lollipops?
they had the lollipops there, but they also had the red hot tamales.
They had the red hots, yeah.
And everywhere we went, there were things that I really enjoyed about what they did and how they displayed it. While we were in the bar, I couldn't believe all the different crystal that was displayed. I said, Steve, in 8 months, this won't all be displayed any longer because they'll find out the drinks that are ordered the most, and they'll get the glasses that really are the ones that the guests are enjoying. You won't need this complete array. But it's amazing. Even if in a grand opening, you can miss something. And every day in our businesses, we can meet something. But when we talk about a business leaving clues, what are the clues that we're leaving right now in our businesses? I mean, look at the deposits you made yesterday. But what are guests going to expect the next time they're in?
Sure.
They're going to want that energy.
Or, you know, again, and I don't know that this is directly relatable to this topic, but if you're in it and you really have this care factor, you're also constantly thinking, how do we make it better? What would I improve about today? Without discounting, because again, I thought beautifully planned, beautifully executed, very, very proud of everything that took place. Yet, as a leader, if I really played, if I participated, I would have to have things that I could say, next time, let's think about this. It would be nice if we did X.
Yes, and.
Yeah, yes, and as opposed to yeah, but. And so I think that clearly, I'll give you one of our examples. The main thing was, if 179 people was unusual, how do we make sure those 179 people come back?
Mm-hmm.
So there were definitely things that were in place, asking, a focus on setting up a future reservation a day before they left. But I think we missed a mark by not giving them a bounce back certificate to come back within 2 weeks, to come back within 4 weeks, and some incentive to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of like sometimes in our business, when we're the most busy, we think we're too busy to do what we need to do. And if we like being busy, if we like the fact that we had that number of people in our business, why not celebrate it? Why not make sure we have a day like that again? And how do we bring those people, of which over 50% were new that had never been to the school before? Why wouldn't we try and invite them back and find a way to attempt to wow them again? So there were definitely little things like that came up. I also noticed things, and it's sometimes when you put a different set of eyes on in your business, it can be so powerful. I walked into our phase 2 wash house, and I saw the music control on the wall, and yet the phase 2 wash house was quiet. And so I said to one of our staff members, I said, there's no music in the phase 2 wash house. And they said, we leave the music down because it's the same music as what's out on the clinic floor. We never bought a second sound system for this school. School's almost 5 years old. That's okay. I mean, I say that as an owner. That's okay. Well, no, I mean, our way, our method, what we do is we have a separate sound system that pipes in relaxing, beautiful, soft jazz, spa music in our wash houses. It's part of our formula. Mm-hmm. And we just have never done it for almost 5 years in one of our schools. And we just pass that off as an excuse.
Or did they think it was okay with you?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Right?
I'm sure. They thought it was a decision every single day for 5 years not to have music in that wash house. So little things like that, and then things like folding towels. I said, when do we throw towels away here? Oh yeah, some of them are bad. So I took them, I started tossing.
Right.
We started tossing towels. And then it was okay for everybody to toss towels when they were bad, instead of folding them and putting them out. I mean, some towels, when we rolled them, they were this big around, and some were that big around, and we didn't throw them out. And I
They
say
didn't
that
have any cotton fiber left.
right, you could see through them.
That's funny.
But I'm sure that happens in your salon as well.
Until you do it, it must be okay.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. And then somebody came in and said to the trash bin, they said, "Oh, is this a towel bin?" Because there's so many towels in
there.
there.
Yeah. There's something. So what we have now, let's think about it. Let's view, because this situation, presence or lack of, is becoming more and more of an issue everywhere you go. I mean, we live in an unpresent world. You walk in the airport. Did you hear me yell at the people? Pay attention, look up. People are walking through the airport, looking down. You've got children, you've got luggage, and people are literally walking, looking down on their phones. And I understand that business needs to be done. I also understand that it's an opportunity to refresh yourself by getting other energy from other human beings. And people don't engage at all. They'd rather live in silence. And so look around and really observe the lack of social exchanges. Listen to how you get on an elevator. Listen to how you are in the supermarket. Even we stopped at Costco on the way home the other day, and I told Emma, I said, let's see how many people we can say hello to that'll say hello to us back. And she thought, that's weird. Well, it's weird because no one does it anymore. So people say, I'd rather not have to deal with another. And businesses have, whether it's gas stations that probably did it first, and banking that's done it second, but you're seeing more and more of that, or grocery stores that you do self-checkout. Some people would say doing business with no one is better than doing business with bad service.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at all of the examples.
Even in the airports.
Whether it's an ATM, whether
Right.
it's a self-check-in at an airport, whether it's, oh my gosh, whether it's filling your own beverages in a fast food restaurant. So many things have become self-serve, because if a person's involved, it either costs money or is less of a service to the person. There's even a franchise right now that's advertising that does frozen yogurt out of a vending machine.
Really?
Yeah.
Where at?
So that you don't have to go to an ice cream store. And so when you stop and think about it, our business always requires people.
Well, let's hope.
And so is it going to be people that have energy and enthusiasm and high pay attention factor and a great care factor, and a servant's heart? Or are we going to just be people that are going through the motions? Because when we're people going through the motions, that's when we're vulnerable. That's when, as this slide says, that's when we fall into a trap. The trap is we're not necessary at that point.
Well, how many people are saying now, just text me? Just text me. And what does that mean? Now, I'm not opposed to texting. I received a message this morning, a call that was scheduled, and the person took ill and said, we need to reschedule. That's okay. But if it was a connection call, it has to be done with the human spirit. And just text me. I hate when you text, even me, because you can't hear the urgency. I might need you or something. You can't transfer. It's really self-serving versus being there for somebody else.
There's a lot of different roles for texting.
I understand that.
But there's equally as many or more for human contact and interaction. And I think that's the real key.
Well,
I think that we're texting things that absolutely need to be delivered in person. And I think that.
But if we get more comfortable there and we're in a business that requires connection, it's going to put us at risk, right?
we have to remember, and this has everything to do with presence, it's every team member's responsibility to create a repeat guest. And what's required to create a repeat guest? It starts at the hello. It starts with the greeting. It starts with the presence and the way we carry ourselves up into that reception area.
Mm-hmm.
When we're meeting and greeting that guest, or welcoming them back into our salon. That should be acknowledged differently than someone we're meeting for the first time. With our dialogue, with our words, with our body language. And so every little human interaction that takes place in a professional service business is, first of all, it's on stage. You're not alone unless you work in a one-chair salon that has no one else ever in it. If there's even one other guest in it, you're on stage.
I think there's also something that I'm witnessing more often from front desks, that people are thinking it's a sitting position. And I really have difficulty with it, because the front desk is really managing the traffic and usually the take-home experience for the guest. I don't know how you do that from a sitting position. I don't know how you show urgency or that you're available to assist them from a sitting position. I really struggle with that. And maybe that's old school, because when I was growing up, you didn't sit. I think tellers didn't sit. Waitresses didn't sit. And I'm always amazed when I'm in a restaurant and the waitress sits down to take our order and gets in our booth with us or something. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to die right here. And I don't like that side. Also, the hairdressers are on their feet all day long. And sometimes that could create an us and them too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So without presence, we're at risk. I think that is so. I'll give you some examples in a second of the different kinds of presence or lack of. Well, I just took a little mint, sorry. You want to say something?
Are you eating candy? Well,
I just had a little piece of a mint. Thank you very much.
So this is a particular type of presence you wouldn't want to mimic.
Oh, I just got that. Thank you. Thank you. But without presence, we're at risk, meaning we're at risk because the guest doesn't know they're in good hands. Without presence, they don't know, and they're unable to connect with the business they're doing business with. Okay, so let's talk about the different kinds. I mean, what are people, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. People are always watching, and I think this is really key. If I'm at a restaurant with Steve and we're having a great conversation, I can get so lost in that conversation that I don't see what's going on around me, perhaps, or I'm not in tune to the other things because it's conversation or the but they don't have the people to man the square footage. We've got that in our businesses. Make sure people understand that. As far as peeking, you've got people that will stand and they're close enough to you, but they don't lean into you. They peek to see if you should need them. I don't know if you have that in your business, but I've seen it. And that's difficult too. I was in a home goods, and in October, the triplets, Sarah and Steve's children, were turning 3. And I thought, 3 little pigs, big piggy banks. What a great idea to get them for. And they're huge piggy banks. I don't know if you've seen them at Home Goods. And I thought, that'll be fun to do for them. So I walked into Home Goods and I said, look, excuse me. And she kind of peeked out of the corner eye. I had to speak first, of course. And I said, I was in the store before and I've seen these huge piggy banks. I want 3 of you. What we have is what's out there. All we have is what's out. And I said, okay, thanks. She didn't say, oh, I love those too. Let me see if I can find them with you. No, she was done. I mean, she was peeking out of the corner of her eye and she was done. She didn't lean into me, didn't help me, didn't assist me. And I spoke first. I did more of the work that day in the relationship. They didn't have them. I looked around the store, and if they did have them, no one helped me. And I ended up getting the children something else, but wow, that's just terrible.
Well, I think what you refer to, Terry, as peaking is also a sign of low self-esteem or low confidence.
Good.
Lack of
I don't want to make eye contact.
Ability. I think that in a lot of cases, if you see that in your business, we've got to address it, usually with a training solution.
And help them. I mean, eye contact is key, and it's not. I think it starts with children. Even in the restaurant, you've got to insist that children use manners, or that they honor the wait staff by saying, look in their eye, ordering, say please with the meal selection they chose, thank you very much when they're served a beverage. You've got to teach those things. And even when the grown children were young, I would tell Steve, if they don't order, they don't eat. We have to teach them how to make eye contact and be present with the people that are around them. I mean, I was at a restaurant just recently, and a kid in his 20s or maybe late teens was on his phone. His mother ordered his dinner, and I thought, are you kidding me right now? And this kid can't look up if his life depended on it. And that's a problem. So anyway, waiting, I'll service you, but I'm going to wait till you call on me. I'm not going to speak first. And you can see people up there, and some people say, I don't want to go up and say, do you need anything? They're just going to say no, so I'll just wait. No, there's different ways you can say that. Do you have any questions? You don't have to say, can I help you? Do you have any questions I could answer? The next one is can't. They just can't. They're not equipped, and you've got to put them through confidence class. It might be a module that you teach. You've got to teach confidence in the beauty industry. People might say, you're going module 1 is shampoo, module 2 is styling, module 3 is dialogue and cutting and consultation. Module 5 needs to be confidence.
Well, I've always believed, since I learned this early on, there is no such thing as can't. I think it's either a won't or a don't know how. And in business, we can train the don't know how. But too often it's a won't, and we tolerate it. So that's where we want to look at. We want to look at this is are we dealing with a won't, and what's your tolerance of that, or are we dealing with a don't know how, and how do we do that? Remember, as one ad says right now, talent matters, education matters, and the ability to articulate and inspire and train our way, our salon way, is really critical.
It's critical. And I think it's getting worse. I hate to say it. My fear is that not enough people are talking about this topic of, presence, and talking about the need to look in the eyes and communicate with your customer. People are trying to make jobs, technology jobs, texting jobs, email jobs, not connection jobs. And presence is a form of connection, presence a form of action, presence a form of care factor, hustle factor. It's all encompassed there. And it's getting worse and worse. And having Jack will turn 11 tomorrow and Emma's 13. I look at the responsibility of them, but also, where are their manners? What's their ability to be kind? What's their ability to look at other people? And we go to their school reviews, and they'll say, "Wow, they've got beautiful manners, and they're helpful." And I'm thinking, "Wow, they're not like that at home," but at least they're knowing how to do it when it matters. Maybe they feel safe at home, and it's not as.
Mm-hmm.
But you've really got to work on this, because we're losing our edge with this, and it concerns me.
Well, and I think asking the question, how long have you been doing what you're doing? And have you grown tired of training the basics?
Well, we were at Visible Changes this week, and I'm surprised it took us this long to get there. We were at their 40-year celebration of for
Being in
Visible
business.
Changes. Yeah, it was so good, and we had a ball. And the amount of people. Now, let's watch. 600 hairdressers in the room, 500 or 600, right? And support staff. And so I think there were 1,200 when it was all said and done. And the energy was amazing. And there were people that walked right up to us and said, "Hey, we remember you from last year," and they extended their hand, and they'd walk away. And that one young lady, and she stood out to both of us. Her presence was amazing, and her personality, and just her confidence. She impressed us both immediately. Now, there were people that weren't winning awards, that weren't getting on stage, but weren't on their feet for other people either. Those are the ones that you think, God bless you, you don't get it. You don't understand how to put in the time and the sweat equity to cheer other people on. So you'll get the same respect when you do earn it, if you want it, if you choose to. And are we poised and ready to become what we want to become? And I think this is a hard topic for a lot of them, because they don't see this as an issue in their lives. Emma certainly doesn't see it as an issue. And my goodness, I don't know what all of you are seeing right now on getting copied on how kids are talking to teachers, and the disrespect that is being tolerated in our schools and in life. And if we don't have great leadership on our expectations and standards of behavior, it'll get loose way too fast, and we can lose our edge. If you think of our presence score scale of 1 to 10, some people have a great presence with their guest, let's say. And then what is their presence score with the internal team? Just like I said, you've got employees that walk in and don't even say good morning or acknowledge the front desk, or they walk in and it's not natural. So then the internal team is, they're great with their customers, but they're terrible to all of us. I mean, you've got a presence score with both, and it needs to be evaluated. I think about presence and can you do it in silence? I gave that example of the bartender. You can have presence when you're walking in your business, when you're walking through your business, side by side, working with another teammate. How do you walk out of the business? All of that is judged. And I'm not asking everyone to have my personality. I mean, we all have different strengths. But the pay attention factor, I think, is just really huge. I mean, how do you walk through, even if I'm coming downstairs, I want to make eye contact with other people I work with, or how are you? I probably say hi to Colleen 10 times a day. I don't want to just walk by her and not acknowledge she's in the same room with me. And I see that all too often. And once again, I might be showing my age, but it's getting worse. I can't imagine going to get a cup of coffee here, another team member walking in and me not saying something. It's like golf. In golf, everyone has to comment on every shot, right? You shoot the ball and you go, oh, yeah, that's good, or yeah, you hooked it, or something. Everyone has to say something. I can't imagine golfing and not talking about golf. So when you're here, how do you walk in a room where someone's getting coffee and someone doesn't speak? I don't understand it. But I see it all the time. Say something. Hey, how's your day going? What's going on? Hi. And Ernie would never walk in a room and not say hello to somebody. Ernie has great presence about him. And he's
Absolutely.
It's amazing to me. And then other people can just walk and say, well, I don't want to bother anyone. I'll just walk in the room and be quiet. You know, that silence could be, it doesn't always have to be verbal. You can nod, wink, wave, how you doing, high five. Like you said, what's going on with you, touch someone's shoulder. But to have silence could also be an enemy if it's not done right.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Where we are.
And I think one of the things that I've been thinking about listening to what you have to say today, Terry, is that it all comes back to business today is about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us will have the opportunity to build relationship based on our presence, or we'll lose the opportunity to build relationship based on our presence. All of us are busy.
Oh.
Right? And the world is busy. People stop their world to pay attention to people who themselves carry presence. And I think that business is about working through the busyness.
Especially in a business that is so needed. I think of the medical industry and the beauty industry. Yeah, and I'm gonna give you I want you to really think about this. Presence is not about knowledge.
No, and it's also not about your position in life.
No, it's not. But it's not about knowledge. Like I know everything that happens in this salon, every square footage, every line item, every inventory. It's not about knowledge. Knowledge doesn't mean you've got presence, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can know it and no one even know you're in leadership. You can know it and no one even knows that your care factor in respect to being out on the floor and introducing people to the public. Don't confuse knowledge as something that people will be able to connect to. Connecting the knowledge is one where you can help me get where I need to go as a mentor. But presence is about connection and slowing things down and being there. You know, the first time we heard the fish video, how many years ago? 25 now, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
And you think about when they say fish, what are the things that we're going to make them world famous, right? And the one was, of course, play, have fun. And their presence word was be there. Absolutely be there. And one of the guys said, you know, if I zone out for a minute, wow, I missed an opportunity to connect with that guest because I started daydreaming for a moment. I have to focus and make a difference and be there. And that's really key. Really pay attention to where you do business and how often they're trying to connect with you. And we've had flight attendants on Southwest that have done a beautiful job with it. And then we've had people that haven't. They both know how to be a flight attendant, but one knows how to create presence better than the next.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions for us as we're still in that? We're very serious. Look at that. Look at that serious face we have on the whole time. Any questions for us on presence? Would we ever think that someone's presence, it has such a negative effect on our business, they're no longer a good fit? Yes, I would say absolutely without a doubt. Right?
Yes, agreed.
And then could we have, who had the most presence this month? Who was the most contagious? You know, sometimes we have employee of the month based on their performance. What about employee of the month based on their presence? Right?
Yeah.
You know, I still think about growing up, how I had to go to door on my family's behalf because my mom would volunteer our family and then send me door to door. I can remember how awkward that was at first. And then over time,
I'm thinking of having you do that now.
to collect money for us, go door to door. But it's something. And even I love when Joe comes in the house, our next door neighbor.
Yes.
Because for a while they would walk in the house, the kids would come in. And I'm really funny about that. When the kids come in the house, I'll say, and especially if they meet someone new comes in, and I hear the kids say, better say hello to my mom and dad. But Joe will walk in now and he'll say, oh, Miss Terry, I forgot to say hi to you. I'll say, thank you. Isa still struggles. And I'll say, what did you do? What did you forget to do? I forgot to say hello. You have to be taught that. And you've really got to spend some time on that with people. Who are your best presence people that are making a difference in your business? I love this topic.
So have fun with this topic. Look at it. Take a really good look, and look at it. Give that 1 to 10 score on everybody, and say, how can I raise the level of intensity and focus on presence as a team?
Mm-hmm.
What's our team presence? When you walk in as a team to a PSC education event, do you have a presence, or do you just kind of blend in with what's there? You're going to probably be attending the America's Beauty Show within the next couple of months. What's your presence there?
Do they know you're in the house?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, we've approached it from a lot of different ways in the past about making some noise or this or that or the next thing, but it really comes down to what kind of confidence, what kind of energy, what is it that we as a team want to put out? Because you know what you put out as far as presence is going to also be what you attract.
Mm-hmm.
And every salon that we do business with always is looking for talent to add to their team. And I would say if we're having trouble attracting talent, could very well be a presence issue.
I think so too. And I think the ROI on this investment of time on this topic, you'll be really amazed on what the return will be. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great month.
I waved to nobody. What happened?